All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us today for VetBiz's webinar from Service to Systems, Franchising as a Veteran Business Path. For those of you who may be new to VetBiz, our mission is to empower veterans, service members, and military spouses to start, grow, and succeed in business, all the way from idea to exit through training, one-on-one business counseling, and resource connections. We help our clients turn their ideas into thriving ventures. Now, I'm going to be quiet here in just a moment, but we're excited to welcome our guest presenter, Wendy, and she's the Director of Veterans Programs with the International Franchise Association. So, with that being said, Wendy, you're more than welcome to take it away. And if you want to share your slides, there should be a share button somewhere down there for you.
Okay, can you see the slides that say pathways?
Yeah, they're popping up now. It says it started screen sharing, and we're good to go now.
Okay, perfect. So my name is Wendy Kunz. I'm the director of VetFran for the International Franchise Association, and our mission is to help veterans succeed in franchising and clear their path to make their path into business ownership easier by partnering with brands all across the country to do just that. So I'll tell you a little bit more about franchising, how VetFran works, and what we can do to help. First of all, the International Franchise Association is the biggest trade association for franchising, and we advocate to protect, enhance, and promote the franchise business model. So, we're going to talk about that today and how that can be a successful model for veterans because of your military service. The International Franchise Association has a foundation, which is what VetFran is part of. We're a nonprofit leg of the IFA, and we focus on raising awareness on franchising and helping more military connected families get involved in franchising. And that's all through VetFran and the resources that we have. So some of the economic impacts of franchising are listed here, and I'm not going to read this slide to you. They will be in the slides that you will get from Mitch afterwards. But some of the things that are on here just talk about how it compares to the US economy in general. And so lots of people have asked us questions about, well, what is the impact of franchising on the economy? So I put that slide in there just so you have it and have that information as we go through that after the webinar. So, franchising comparing to non-franchise business, this was something that I thought was fascinating with 1.8% as large and 2.3 times as many jobs as non-franchise business are generated. So that was a unique point for us as we started looking at, okay, how does an independent business differ from a franchise? And so one of the things that I talk about with my own experience, I was a Sylvan Learning franchisee. Instead of starting Wendy's tutoring, I went to Sylvan and ran a successful franchise for almost 20 years and went from a single center owner to multi-center across multiple states. So I had lots of experience in owning my own business that I generated myself as well as a franchise. And so I'm happy to have one-on-ones with you to discuss any of that as well. And so these are all just stats. And then I'm hoping this video is going to play and I'm going to let it talk to you for a second. And if it will not, you'll have it in the video or in the slides later. Yeah. Can you guys hear that?
We can't on our end.
Yeah, Wendy, unfortunately, we can't hear it.
You might.
Okay. So we will save that for when you get the slides. You can listen to it. It talks about, oh, I just lost all my slides. Hold on. There we go. It talks about what franchising is and how it works. And it's just in a cute little video that lots of people like and refer back to when we do this presentation live. So sorry, it's not taking the sound with it. I thought I had all my settings correctly done. So We'll save that one for later. But franchising is a proven business model that enables your entrepreneurs to launch and operate their own business under the brand and the guidance of an established company. And so, what a franchise business model lends to you is the standard operating procedures that you had in the military on how to run a successful business. You also have a team of support that supports you in all the aspects of running your business, from marketing to your business planning to your day-to-day operations to where you get your supplies and what vendors might give you discounts through that brand or through just being a veteran as a thank you for your service. Um, so as we go through building your franchise, lots of the skills that you have in the military and the structure that you had in the military is part of the proven business model that your franchisor provides to you. And so just so you understand the terms, the franchisor is lending their trademark and their trade name as well as their business to you. They provide you training and ongoing assistance of the how to run your business and how to make your company and your small business in your local community a success. You, as the local owner, are called the franchisee. And so you will pay a fee to the franchisor to become a franchisee of that business model and operate them. You will also have ongoing royalty and ongoing marketing fees typically that you pay, but your franchise fee is just an upfront fee. What VetFran does is partners with brands who gives veterans discounts for all of your initial franchise fees, anywhere from 10% all the way up to waiving that fee entirely to ease that initial franchise fee and the financial burden of getting into your own business. So you will still have, your build out, all the pieces that you need to open and operate your business. But that ongoing or that initial franchise fee is what our VetFran brand give you a discount for. They also have veterans who will mentor you as well as all of their corporate staff that go through step by step and provide the training that you need of how to get started, how to pick your location. They help you with all of those different pieces of getting started when you're first starting your franchise. So, how does the franchisor and franchisee relationship work? It is a partnership that is defined by a franchise agreement. So, in your franchise agreement, it will lay out all the rules, rights, and responsibilities of both parties. So, it will tell you what you are responsible for as that local franchisee, as that local owner. And it also lays out for you what your franchisor or what your corporate team will provide you as far as running the day-to-day operations, as far as getting all of those pieces that you need from your corporate office to be successful, as well as partnering with other franchisees that are already in that business model that are already running successful stores and shops. So you'll have lots of resources to help you. You won't feel like you're alone and by yourself. If I had started Wendy's tutoring, I would have had no idea how to get new clients and how to build a business in tutoring because I was a teacher. I had no business experience. I had no marketing experience. I would have had to hire an outside marketing company to come in and show me the way if I started my own company. But instead, I bought a Sylvan franchise and their team and the franchisor's team showed me all the things I needed to do to be successful and to grow, and then ultimately turn that into multi-units as well. So not only in my small town that I started in, but across a couple different states. So franchising is one of the most heavy regulated industries in the United States, and this is governed by the Federal Trade Commission or the FTC. So they have rules and regulations that all of your franchisors have to follow and provide you. And so in your FDD, which is your franchise disclosure document, this will have all of those expectations and information that they provide so that you can do your research and do your due diligence before you get involved with a franchise. And so one of the questions that's commonly asked is, well, how do I know that they're going to treat me fairly? And so basically the answer is that the law provides that for you and that you have to partner with them to understand what their obligations are, what your obligations are, and how you want to partner together to build that business and be successful as a franchisee within that franchise business model. Why should you consider franchising? So, as a veteran, some of the skills that are listed on this slide are the areas that you learned in the military and that you executed and showed that you have every day as part of this. And so, these skills are all things that franchisors are looking for because of the way the franchise business model is set up. They want people who are just like you, being team leaders, executing their standards and their operating procedures. You know, if you go to a McDonald's in my small town here in Waco, Texas, or if you go to a McDonald's in New York City, you're gonna get the same hamburger, right? So you know that they're consistent, their processes are the same. And so that across the franchise brands is part of the key to a franchise business model and having you be successful is having those standard operating procedures. Strong managers of people and resources, obviously in the military, you had to do that, use that, and prove that with your team. And so franchisors honestly look for veterans as a way to thank you for your service, but also knowing that you're going to be one of the leaders in their brands that is pretty adept at completing that mission, figuring out how to do things. You know, when things do go wrong, as they will, you are adept at making those changes, asking for help and support from your teammates, from other franchisees, from the corporate office, and finding a way through to complete your mission, which in your business world is your profitability of your center or your store. Many franchisors and suppliers go out of their way to recruit military excuse me, veterans and to lower their cost of entry. So that's one of the things that VetFran does with all of our brands is that lower cost of entry point is a requirement, as well as if you look at our website, our brands are split up into 1, 3, and 5-star brands based on the discount and the support that they give to our veterans and how long they've been franchising. So some of our newer brands are only 1-star members. It's not a rating like on Google, 1 star is better or 5 star is better than 1 star. It's based on the number of years they've been franchising and also on the discount that they give you. So when you go look and start exploring some of our brands, please keep that in mind as you look at the star system, that is our way of letting you know how long they've been in business, what kinds of discounts they offered, and what kind of supports. They also partner with supplier members, which anything that you need to run your business, from your credit card processing to your accounting to any service, you know, like ordering supplies, all of those supplier members will have different veteran discounts. So please, whether you go into franchising or whether you start your own business in an entrepreneurial sense, whatever vendors you're working for, don't be afraid to ask them for a veteran discount because it will only help you be more successful in your franchise or in your own business if you decide to go your own way and do your own thing. For advantages of franchising, this is one of the slides that I liked because it just kind of puts it into a nutshell with looking at different components of a franchise business model that helps you be successful by reducing risk, by taking, excuse me, by having a valuable trade name and trademark that's already in um, out in the world and in society that is instantly recognizable. And so that credibility helps you get started and helps take the risk out of starting your own business and getting started that way as well. Financial support from your members, from other vendors, like I was just talking about, your suppliers helping you get started, giving you discounts for thank you for your service to get through and get started, having access to that proven business system and operating plan, plus the support of not only their management team, but of all their other franchisees that are already operating that business across the country. So it could be in another small town just like yours. It could be in a big city. What are the differences? How do you need to manage differently when you're in different sections of that business model and that business um, atmosphere in different size communities? So some of the disadvantages when you think about franchising and think about owning your own business is that it's not completely independent. You do have to follow rules based on your franchise business model and on what your brand says are the ways that they do things. If you are one of the people that is a my way or the highway kind of person and want to do your own thing all the time and never stay within the lines, you might not want to try franchising. You might want to go do your own thing where you are totally your own boss and you have complete control. In a franchise, you will have rules, some that you like, some that are, are proven over and over, but maybe you think you can do it differently, better, and be more successful. And then you find out that that didn't work. So staying within their guardrails, as they like to call them, and following the rules in their operating systems will help you get to financial success and business success faster than if you buy a franchise and go off and do your own thing, break the rules, don't do what they're saying you need to do or how you need to do it. So not being completely independent is definitely a drawback or a disadvantage for some people getting involved in franchising. The other thing that comes to play a lot is the continued royalty fees and marketing fees. This, I, as a Sylvan owner, always thought was an advantage to me because I would have had to go hire a marketing company. I would have had to go hire accountants and different people that I needed to fulfill my business side of my network because I didn't know how to do that. I was a teacher before I came to Sylvan. And so I needed the business side, somebody coaching me, telling me, this is how you do it, this is what to do. These are the things that are successful in markets like yours. And that really was a strength for me being in a franchise instead of being Wendy's tutoring. Um, Franchisees also, some franchise could perform poorly. They're not involved in their business. They, bought a franchise thinking they could be a hands-off owner and they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. And so they could have a bad, press release or something come out about them that could affect you because you're in the next town over, that kind of thing. So there's always that to kind of caution and look out for as well. And then if you want to expand like I did, there could be opportunities because you have that national brand, or there could be limitations because the brand is so well known and the market is so well penetrated. It just depends on your brand and your area of where you are and what you might want to do as far as building other locations. So it could be an advantage or a disadvantage depending on where you're at, what you're looking at, and what you want to do. They also have in your franchise agreements, they will have limitations when you go to sell. So this can be an advantage and a disadvantage again, because if you are trying to sell, when you get ready to retire and you want to sell your business, that name brand and that successful business that you've built is valuable to others. And so them wanting to buy it is a good thing. And your franchisor will help you find those buyers and locate them, but they also might limit you to confirming that the person that you're selling to has the financial resources to continue on. So you may get somebody who is declined by the corporation, and so they will stop that sale and you'll have to find a different buyer. So there's limits and advantages and disadvantages for both of those. For succession planning, when you do decide to retire, let's say you don't have kids or your kids don't want your business and you have to sell it, they will help you find other owners that are interested in coming into their brand and buying that. So if I had had Wendy's tutoring, I wouldn't have had anybody besides maybe another local teacher in my market that wanted to buy my students from me and tutor those students, right? Well, I had Sylvan Learning. And so when I decided to sell, when my husband's job took us across the country, we went and sold it to another owner in our town or in our area. And so that's really something that you can use as an advantage or a disadvantage when you're looking at franchising and the different concepts that come into play. So franchising, when you think of franchising, most people think of quick serve restaurants like McDonald's, Subway, food-based restaurants. And so in franchising, there's all these different types of services. We already talked about Sylvan, so we talked about education. There's fitness brands, there's wellness brands, there's home services. Everything you need to fix anything inside your home, there's probably a franchise brand associated with it. And so, one of the things that we do to really help increase awareness about franchising is letting everyone know the different types of franchises that are out there. And if you look on our website, we have 600 brands now, but there are over 3,000 different franchises out there worldwide. And so there's lots of different types and industries. And so this is just a list of some of them that come into play and kind of how they um, play out as far as percentages wise for the total number of franchises that are out there and available. Again, over 120 different industries, lots of different businesses and types. So here's just some more examples of different things that some people might not think of when they think of a franchise. Pretty much everybody automatically associates with McDonald's, but not necessarily a Sylvan Learning Center or cleaning services, things like that, that are all listed here, and different things throughout that you have that you need in your homes to help take care of them. And then senior care is a big one. I have lots of people ask me all the time. There's seriously another Home Helpers, for example, in the town, the next town over. Yes, it's a franchise. So these are just some other examples of brands from, again, food, senior care, cleaning services, hotels. Hotels are franchised. And so lots of different examples of different things you can do and get involved in a franchise business model where you have that team of support always behind you to help you grow and help you learn. You can also, when you get involved in franchising, it's really important to kind of break down where you want to be and what you want to be doing as far as your job and your role, and to make sure that as you do that, you can begin as maybe an owner operator, but then how do you get yourself outside of that business to work on your business instead of in your business to continue to grow it and help you be successful and meet your financial goals. So some questions that people always ask me are, well, what does a franchisor look for in a franchisee, and in bringing people on and bringing owners on? What do they really want to know and to have as far as the skills that I would need to become a successful franchisee? And so this is just a very quick look at some of the attributes that franchisors look for in their franchisee. Someone who has done their homework and understands the concept, not only of a franchise itself, but of their specific business model. You want to make sure that you have obtained a knowledge base that is related to their franchise when you go in. And we'll talk about how you get involved in franchises in just a little bit. And then how you have the means to obtain the capital that you need to buy that franchise. So there's lots of different ways to finance your franchise, from small business loans through the SBA to doing 401k rollovers. There's also just a regular conventional loan. So there's lots of ways besides just having $200,000 in the bank to go buy a franchise, right? And the other thing I want to share with you too is that there's always franchise concepts that are as low as 10 to 20,000 to get in. And there are franchise concepts that are millions of dollars because you have to build out a building, have all the equipment, like a gym, for example. Fitness centers are really a higher ticket to get into and get involved with because of all the equipment that you have to buy and setup that you have to do within your franchise. So franchisors are also looking for people that are eager to be taught and that can also train others. And so being a military veteran, that's something that you probably have, and that you probably have the skills to do and have a success in dealing with people. Most franchises are customer facing in some way, shape, or form. And so if you are not a people person, you're probably not going to be your best person to be on your sales floor when you have a franchise. They look for people who are motivated, have drive to achieve success, that will be willing to do the steps and take and follow the advice that they give, as well as execute the plan and complete completely follow their system, not breaking the rules, going through and doing the work to be successful, and doesn't always expect anyone else to do it for them. Um, so those are some of the things just to think about you, how you fit into that, and where you can maybe improve as you go looking for different franchises. So here are some great resources that you can use and have later on. VetFran.org is where you will see all of our veteran specific brands that all give veterans discounts, as well as our resources that share things like the suppliers that will give you different discounts for all of your things. Hold on. Sorry. Um, and so that'll share with you different resources on vetfriend.org. And then one of the things that Mitch asked me to share was a story of someone who had come into VetFran and learned more about franchising. And so I had invited Nick Lambie to join us today, but he was stuck in meetings all day. So he is an Air Force veteran, came to franchising through VetFran. And his first franchise was Z-Bart, and they waived their initial franchise fee entirely. And so that's what helped sway him to switch from which he was looking at several different automotive franchises. And that was what kind of tipped the scales because if they believed in veterans enough that they were willing to waive their initial franchise fee entirely, he really felt like that would be a good home for him and his brother. And so they bought their first Z-Bart franchise, and now years later have a couple locations of Z-Bart, and now have also bought an AirServe franchise, which is part of the neighborly system for home services. So it's an HVAC system. And so he loves talking franchise. He will be happy to meet with anybody who is willing and wants to learn more about his story and also about how franchising can be successful business model and a way to entrepreneurship success for veterans. Um, so I'm going to stop there and let you guys ask questions, see if there's anything else that you guys want to know about franchising or Nick's story.
Yeah, feel free if there's any questions from the group. We'd be more than happy to field them now. If not, we've got a few we can fall back on always.
I'll wait to ask questions.
Yeah, if you have any right now, yeah, feel free to shoot it out there.
So I know you were talking about franchising and all. Uh, the question I have is the funding portion. I don't know if you're going to cover that topic on different type of funding and stuff. If you are going to cover it, I'll just reserve my question until you get to the funding portion.
And no, I don't have anything specifically for funding. So what are your questions about funding a franchise?
Okay, so I'm interested in like several franchises, but as far as the funding, I was trying to see like what's the best option to go about funding instead of using my own money.
Yep. And so it really just depends on your financial situation and on your credit. And so I would definitely recommend getting involved with a financial planner to help you decide. You can go through like Navy Federal Credit Union is one of our partners and they give SBA loans or award SBA loans. So that's one way you can fund your franchise. You can also do a conventional loan just through your regular bank through a business loan. You can do 401k rollovers, which is called the ROBS program. And it's basically borrowing against your 401k if you have one. So there's lots of different options. And so I'm happy to take this offline and go through information with you and get you, partnered up with some of our partners to
Sure.
answer any of your questions and maybe look at specifically what you're looking at as far as the amount that you need for those franchises and then how you would go about getting funding for them.
Okay, sure. Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, that was a great question. And kind of going a little bit along those lines, when somebody, I'll throw something out there, when somebody's evaluating different franchises or different franchise opportunities that are out there, what would your advice be at the beginning? Because I think a lot of people are like, hey, what can I afford? That's the way they think about it, kind of
Mhm.
like a vending machine approach. How would you kind of guide people towards maybe the right franchise for them?
Yep. Well, and so one of the things that I do, as well as a lot of our VetFran committee members that mentor different veterans coming through and starting to look at franchise opportunities, is we always talk about falling in love with the business model, not necessarily the product. So let's say Auntie Anne's pretzels are your favorite pretzels out there in the world. So you want to buy an Auntie Anne's. That might not be the best thing for you because there's already one in your town or at your mall. So you would have to go to a different city, those kinds of things. So taking a look at what you want, and then obviously financial considerations are a part of it, but it's more than just, what can you afford? Because with different loans, different options, and different discounts, you might be able to afford more than you think you can. And it's also kind of your risk adversity. Between my husband and I, my husband is a much more of a risk taker than I am. And so I was more of the conservative one and looking at, okay, wait, can we really do this? Can we really support this if this happens, if that happens, plan all the what ifs. And so as we look at different franchise business models, it's also looking at their history. If you have a franchise that maybe is in year one of franchising, right? They're just starting, they might not have all of the systems in place that you need to help you build a successful business. And they're not going to have as many franchisees out there already that can help you by answering your questions, like what worked for you when this happened, what worked for you when that happened, or how did you market, how did you gain your customers when you were first opening your doors in a new town, right? And so if you have a more established brand that's been around for years, those brands are typically going to have more resources, more franchisees for you to get help from and support from. And so looking at all of those pieces as you start evaluating each company or each brand that you might be interested in is really going to help you kind of make that decision and say, okay, I want a Z-Bart franchisee instead of an AirServe franchisee, or franchise. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. That's all part of the process for any business, I think. So that's great.
I love that. And I love your slide that shows where veterans excel and why they actually look for veteran entrepreneurs coming in the door, looking at that. I know we have clients like Mitch just mentioned, that come in and going, I know I want to start a business, I just don't know what, right? So my
Mm-hmm.
question is you mentioned, that you have mentors on staff that help through the process. What parts are they specifically helping with? I mean, is it financing? Is it legal? And then once they start onboarding and they get past the selection, then the onboarding process. Let's say they're having a challenge. Can they come back to VetFran and say, I'm having a challenge with my franchise?
Yep. And so for our mentors, we have different mentors that specialize in almost every area of franchising, whether it's securing your financing, whether it's getting started, whether it's helping you evaluate the brand and saying, okay, how do I even compare? Like, these are the three companies that I think I like, or that I know I don't have in my town that I might want to bring. How do I even go about evaluating them and getting the information? And so we'll walk them through all of those steps from requesting information from each of those brands to getting the FDD. And just so, fair warning, for an FDD, you're going to look if it was printed out at a stack of papers about yay thick, couple inches thick, couple hundred pages worth of legal jargon telling you what you are expected to do, what your franchisor is expected to do, and all of the business components that go into that. And so after you review it or take the first stab at reviewing it, find a mentor that will help you understand it. And then before you ever sign a franchise agreement, make sure you have a franchise lawyer look at that document and make sure that you understand and what you're committing yourself to and what your franchisor brand is committing to you to do and to deliver so that you know. one of the things that we talk about a lot is due diligence, due diligence, due diligence. You don't want to go into a franchise agreement blindly or just saying, yeah, Dairy Queen's a great brand, so I'm going to sign up with Dairy Queen and sign on the dotted line
Yeah.
without knowing their rules and what's expected, both financially and operationally, of what you're doing for each part. So we have mentors that will help you break it down and go through that. And then once we kind of hand you off to the brand, for lack of a better word, and you're partnering with that brand and going to their discovery day where they will have you meet their team and show you different aspects of their brand and why they think it's a good fit for you. They're going to show you all of that. And then you would go through a training week after you sign your franchise agreement. And so you'll get the training and the support from them. So you don't need VetFran as much at that point. But if you have questions or concerns, you can obviously call us and we'll get you paired up with somebody who can help. And then we have had in the past where somebody has had an issue with their franchisor, like they didn't agree with something they were doing. They came back to us. And so we always partner with our legal team here at the IFA to just offer advice to get, the two parties in the room having a conversation instead of just being upset or over a disagreement that, shouldn't have gone that far, that kind of thing. Typically, the marketing plan is the biggest contention point. Because if it's not working in your area or you feel it's not working or you can't track some of those things, um, that will be a source of contention and something to have to work through. And you have to trust and partner with your franchise or brand to make sure that you're getting what you need in your local area as well as part of the national plan. And so that's the marketing plan. Like for me, for example, because I didn't understand it and I didn't know all the different pieces that went into it, I had lots and lots of questions constantly about our marketing program and our marketing plans and how it was working for me. Like I wanted them to prove it to me in my small little town instead of in Chicago, where I was 60 miles outside of Chicago. And so that's a much harder ask and tracking, especially back then. So now with digital media, you have lots more different ways to be able to track and um, get to the same page as in your marketing plans.
Thank you. I appreciate that because I think that's one of the things that we try to make sure, not only at VetBiz, it sounds like you guys are two and two, that it's not a one and done. We're helping you and then handing you off and then see you later. Bye. Come back only when you have problems. I think one of the greatest things about the franchise industry is a lot of people don't know like how many there are. Every industry,
Mhm.
from grocery stores to, remote mechanics to all kinds of stuff. I mean, we deal with all kinds of clients. I mean, as executive coach, I have like three or four over just the last year that I didn't even know. They were going after restaurants and other stuff like that, and not even realizing that those were a possibility for them. What
Mhm.
are last
Yeah.
question I have is if I'm watching this webinar and I'm seeing it and all of a sudden I'm like, okay, what are the three things that you could think of that I need to make sure that I'm doing that makes this a success? I know you listed what the franchises are looking into for a franchisee, that they have these qualities, but what are the three things that I can make sure that I'm doing effectively as I'm coming on board with you guys?
Well, I think as you start evaluating franchises and looking at, is this a business model for you, is being honest with yourself about what your strengths are and what you would bring to the table, as far as running your own business and being part of a system that has a team of support around you. And that partnership is something that you want to make sure is really strong. Um, kind of from day one, and that you are willing to be part of that. If you're the my way or the highway kind of person and attitude, you're not going to be successful in franchising. You're only going to get frustrated and you're going to want to get out of it. And so I sit down with veterans who are saying that, like, I want to do it this way. I think we should do this way before they even get started in the brand, and say this might not be the right thing for you. And so I also, caution veterans to look at their skills and their attitudes going forward into that brand and how they're feeling about what the requirements and outlooks are for that brand and for, whatever business model or business industry they're looking at to make sure that fits with them and their skills and their personality. So we talk a lot about those things, but I think, just taking the time to evaluate the company and go to the discovery days and get the information from the FDDs so that you can compare them. Since the FTC regulates franchising so highly, there's so much information out there that you can get that is much more transparent than if you're buying, if you were buying Wendy's tutoring from me instead of Sylvan Learning, you wouldn't have had as much information because it was my personal company. And so I think that, taking those steps to look at all the business components as well and being able to surround yourself with mentors and others that you can ask questions to and from is something that I would definitely recommend taking the time to do. And then, so this is my contact information, and vetfran.org has lots of information from you about, or for you about all of our brands that are currently partnered with us. We also have some supplier members on there, funding partners. Navy Federal Credit Union, Fran Fund specializes in funding franchises. So I'm happy to connect anybody that's on this call with the right people to help you start evaluating or even a mentor with us. If you'd like to be signed up for our VetFran newsletter, we do it quarterly and we just include different success stories, quotes, educational opportunities, whether it's webinars, whether it is in-person events throughout the country. This year, we're celebrating VetFran's 35th anniversary. And so we are doing different events all across the country to help engage veterans and teach them about franchising and then introduce them to some of our brands in an informal networking environment where you can just check it out, hear their success stories, and see if franchising might be right for you.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Wendy, for the time again. I just want to throw it out there in case there's any last minute questions from the group. And if I don't hear anything, I'll just kind of close this out here. Give it about 10 or 15 seconds.
Sounds good.
So I have the contact. So I'll give you I'll send you an email, just to introduce myself, and I guess we could go from there.
Yep, that'd be great.
Okay, thank you very much.
Awesome. Well, thank you, everybody. And thank you again, Wendy, for sharing your time, expertise, and insights with us today. Thank you, everyone, again, who joined us for the session. We hope you're leaving with some practical ideas to move you forward. If you'd like to connect more with Wendy, obviously you can there with her contact information. If you want one-on-one business counseling with us here at VetBiz, it is no cost to you guys. It's vetbiz.com, or you can follow us on LinkedIn and stay up to date on all the future webinars, trainings, podcasts that we got going on in the area. Thank you again to Wendy for sharing so many valuable takeaways, and we look forward to seeing you guys on the next webinar.
Thanks, Mitch.
Thank you.